Hey, we're looking at Unwrapping the Pharaoh, lesson number 20, and we're going to be talking about Amenhotep III, known as Amenhotep the Magnificent. Okay, like many others, like Thutmose and Amenhotep II, he claims divine origin to the throne. He says that his mother Mutamuia was impregnated by the god Amen. And basically, what was said was that there Amen, the god, found her as she slept in the innermost part of her palace. His divine fragrance awoke her. Amen went to her immediately. He lusted after her. When he had appeared before her, he allowed her to see him in the form of a god. The sight of his beauty made her rejoice. Amen's love entered her body, and the place was filled with the fragrance of a god, as sweet as the scents from Punt. So basically, Amenhotep III is claiming that he's the son of Amen, the god. His actual father was Thutmose IV, and he died at a very young age, which puts Amenhotep III in charge and on the throne somewhere between the ages of 10 and 12. His mother acts as regent for the first 6 years of his throne, and he reigns a complete 38 years. During his whole entire reign, tribute flowed into Egypt. Okay, this dynasty, this 18th dynasty, just the money just kept pouring in and pouring into Egypt. So they were allowed to do a lot of great things. There wasn't a lot of battles that had to keep going on. There wasn't a lot of fighting, and the ancestors of this 18th dynasty just keep reaping the benefits. So the tribute just flows, and Amenhotep III reigns from Memphis in the north for about 20 years. And he, because of all this money, is allowed to do some lavish spending and building, and he builds mainly at Luxor, which was on the west bank of the Nile River. He builds lots of things, but the palace and temple complex is one of the biggest things he builds, okay? The entrance has 2 huge statues of himself and his family. And after his death, his successors steal most of the stones that were built on the temple complex, okay? The Colossi of Memnon are the statues at the entrance of this palace ground. And that is all that remains from that temple area, sadly. But these are huge statues, and each statue is about 59 feet high, and each one weighs about 700 tons. They are made up of layers of different stones, and not very easily reusable, which is probably why they still remained, because if they were big giant slabs of rock and stone, they could have been taken for something else. There was also a huge stela at the rear of the complex, okay? So you have the Colossi of Memnon at the beginning, at the front, and then you have this huge stela at the rear of the complex. And the difference between the two, between the stela in the back and the Colossi in the front, is 1,312 feet, which just goes to show you that how big that palace complex was, okay? So this huge stela is there, and it says, on the stela, there's this inscription. It says, "Behold, the heart of his majesty was satisfied with making a very great monument. Never has happened the like since the beginning. He made it as his monument for his father Amun, an august temple, an eternal everlasting fortress of fine white sandstone, wrought with gold throughout. Its floors adorned with silver, all its portals with electrum. It is made very wide and large, established forever." So, according to that inscription on the stela, it was a huge complex. Lots of material in it, gold and other things that have all since been removed. Eventually, these Colossi of Memnon start to lean a little bit, and they kind of get this nickname of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And it may be kind of amusing and maybe a little funny to think about. But in 1989, the guardians of the Egyptian antiquities don't find it funny. They see that the Colossi were starting to lean. They're very concerned. They're afraid they're going to collapse and be destroyed. They're also concerned that they might fall over on some tourists that are there. And so they commissioned Rainier Stadelman to survey it. He was the director of the German Institute of Archaeology, and he showed eventually through his study that the statues were in no immediate danger of falling over. But he also found some other very interesting facts, okay? He examined the foundations. The foundations originally were discovered or uncovered in 1832, but by the time he looked at them, there was 10 foot of mud that had accumulated on them. He eventually discovers that the foundation was made of sand, and that's possibly why the whole entire temple was destroyed, especially as the Nile flooded and came back and left us deposits. If in that short period of time, there was 10 foot of mud that accumulated over the several hundred years. This could have washed away the foundation basically and caused the building to collapse. But he also found several broken statues and things in there, okay? The largest statue that they found is currently in the Cairo Museum, and it was found in pieces. It was put together by Gaston Maspero, and he placed Queen Ti's arm around her husband's waist. But now scholars believe that it shouldn't be around his waist, but resting on his knee. And so there's some debate over this, I think, my personal opinion, the debate is because there's not a whole lot else to talk about with Amenhotep III in this area. So they're trying to find something to stir up the things that they were invested in. But Ty's parents were Yuya and Tuya, and they had found the tomb intact. They're found in his tomb intact. And these two are the golden face masks and the gilded chariot that they found in these tombs. And you can see a picture of those in your book as well. And just because of this huge building things that were going on, and apparently, very impressive at the time, Amenhotep III gets the name Amenhotep the Magnificent. Thanks.